Welcome to Tuesday, April 14th reading lesson. Today we're going to be talking about how you need to be thinking while reading in order to be doing real reading. And it's going to be a presentation where I'm going to talk to you throughout it, and then you will apply this thinking towards your lesson today from the IPS packet, and that's it. Enjoy the presentation. Reading is thinking, using metacognition while you read to achieve real reading versus fake reading. Throughout this lesson, you're going to hear some important words, and I want to share the words and the definitions. When we say text, we mean what the author has to say or wants you to know, the words you read. Examples are picture books, poems, science books, reader's theater, chapter books. So text is just what the actual words that you read. Another important word we're going to be talking about is thinking. The definition of thinking is what is going on in your head, using your brain to come up with ideas. For example, wondering, noticing, figuring, picturing, or imagining. The next word is metacognition. This one is new to us. We've talked about it as far as how to do it, but we haven't used this word before. It's metacognition. Say it with me. Metacognition. The definition is thinking about your own thinking. You might go, what does that mean? Thinking about my thinking? An example is, I read about snakes and what they eat. My snake eats bugs. I wonder what, blah, blah, blah. Next word or term is real reading. The definition is when you think and read at the same time. You understand what you are reading. For example, I read a book about balloons. I read the words and thought about what was happening too. Then in the caption he says, oh yeah, now I get it. So that's what real reading is. You're not just looking at the words. And if you are just looking at the words and not thinking, that's the next one. Fake reading. The definition of fake reading is when you only read the words. You aren't thinking about what you're reading. For example, I read a book about the zoo. I read the words, but I didn't think about the meaning. Sometimes you guys catch yourself when I ask you a question after you've read a section of your book or a reading passage, and then you have no idea what the answer was, even though you had looked at the words in the text. That would be fake reading, where you're just looking at the words, but you have no idea what you actually read. Now, a recipe for reading success is your ingredients are 1 part text and 1 part thinking. In the salad, it'll be tomatoes and lettuce. Directions: mix both parts together while reading. Use your metacognition. Good readers think while they read. And again, for metacognition, you have text and thinking, so you have real versus fake reading. A goal that I have for you is I will think about my thinking while reading. Again, metacognition is thinking while reading the text. Some ideas to help you to do metacognition is thinking stems. Some of these probably look very familiar to you. To help you think about your thinking, you could have ideas while reading that start, I'm thinking blah, blah, blah. I know you've missed my blah, blah, blah since we haven't been at school, so I'll be using them here for you. I'm noticing blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering blah, blah, blah. I'm picturing blah, blah, blah. I'm feeling blah, blah, blah. It reminds me of yada, yada, yada. We'll change it up a little. I'm figuring out yada, yada, yada. I'm seeing blah, blah, blah. Do you get it? Now, some of those probably look familiar because you've seen this a lot this year. It's from our stations and reading packet. We have this every packet because it's so important to be using metacognition and thinking while you read so that you are real reading, not fake reading. Now, in here, do you notice? I think, I liked, I learned, I wonder, I noticed. That is where you put down your thoughts. And by writing them down on a paper like this, it reminds you that you have to be thinking while you are reading. Now, you could use this at home to practice by looking at this paper. You can always push pause or maybe take a screenshot, or it could be printed out. And you could use it while you read to practice. Here's another one. We've only gotten this through once this year for fiction books, where you are thinking about the important parts of a fiction book, like the main character setting, and retelling the important events from the beginning, middle, and end. And don't forget, you got to be thinking about the problem and solution. Again, this all helps you to be a real reader and think while you're reading text. This last one is for nonfiction texts. Just like with our natural disaster writing, we thought a whole lot about main idea and details with nonfiction text. Now, this is set up in a way that makes you think about your thinking while reading. You don't just copy some facts down. It's supposed to be details or facts that you learned about the topic. So you need to be thinking about it in order to learn about it and to even know if it's something new to you. So you can use this anytime you have a nonfiction text. You did it! Now you know a little bit more about metacognition, thinking about your thinking, and how to use it to become a better, real reader. Your task is to now apply this thinking to your reading. Hello everyone! To help you get started with your thinking while reading, which is called what? Metacognition. Yep. I chose a few poems, and if you have been reading along or watching along with our read aloud videos of Hate That Cat, you'll recognize these authors and books. The first is William Carlos Williams, The Red Wheelbarrow, and Other Poems, and I am not reading the Red Wheelbarrow poem that we've heard a bunch by Jack. I am reading This Is Just to Say. And even in this, it's an extremely short poem. You still have to think to understand. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. So, I noticed, or I'm thinking, he really likes plums. But mostly I'm wondering, is he going to get in trouble? This very much seems like an apology or an excuse because he thinks he's going to get in trouble. And I'm also thinking he's talking to Mom. I feel like he's talking to Mom on this one. All right, that's one. The next is, I'm just going to read part of a poem from Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. Okay, the one that I'm going to read is, oh, I lost my page. The Old Gumby Cat. So right away I'm thinking Gumby. Gumby sounds like that character that I used to see like a long time ago, and he's real flexible and funny. So I'm thinking maybe this will be a flexible, funny cat, but this could be older than that, so not sure. Okay, I have a Gumby cat in mind. Her name is Ginny Annie Dots. Her coat is of the tabby kind with tiger stripes and leopard spots. All All day she sits upon the stair, or on the steps, or on the mat. She sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumby cat. So I have to rethink my thinking and think Gumby has nothing to do with being silly or being real flexible. It has to do with just sitting all day. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumby cat's work is but hardly begun. And when all the family's in bed and asleep, she slips down the stairs to the basement to creep. I'm thinking, I'm in the basement. She is deeply concerned with the ways of the mice. Their behavior is not good and their manners not nice. So when she's got them all lined up in the matting, she teaches them music, crocheting, and tatting. Now I'm wondering, what? This cat went from sitting all day, then I was thinking that she was going to end up being a real good mouser cat to help the family with the basement mice. But now she's teaching them lessons, so she's a teacher. I have a Gumby cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Anydots. Her equal would be hard to find. She likes the warm and sunny spots. All day she sits beside the hearth, or in the sun, or in my hat. She sits and sits and sits. And that's what makes a Gumby cat. And this one does have a picture to go with it. Silly. And the picture helps you go, oh wait, it is teaching something. Okay, and our last poem for today, while using metacognition, is by Langston Hughes. He has a collection of poems, and the one that I am reading is entitled Dream Variations. And these do have pictures, so I will show you the picture at the end. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to whirl and to dance till the white day is done, then rest at cool evening beneath a tall tree, while night comes on gently, dark like me. That is my dream. To fling my arms wide in the face of the sun, dance, whirl, whirl, till the quick day is done, rest at pale evening, a tall, slim tree, night coming tenderly, black like me. And in this, I am feeling that I'm thinking that I might have to go get my dog, but if he doesn't stop barking. But I am thinking that in this poem that the character, it's not really a character in a poem, but the person being spoken to is speaking of his pride of being African American and showing that kind of thought and feeling. And I notice that there's a lot of pride coming through, and it's very whimsical. Okay, that is it for today. Now it's your turn to do your reading packet or any other reading and to be thinking. And what is it called when you think about your thinking? Teddy's saying it. Metacognition. Bye, guys.